Hey everybody, this is my 55-gallon Gourami tank, and tonight I'm going to get in there and do a simple water change. It's just going to be a basic before and after video, but the point of the video is not really going to be to see what the tank looks like in the afterwards, because honestly it's not going to look a lot different. What I really want to do tonight is show you a technique that I use for skimming the surface. Now I do have a Sun canister filter in this tank that has a surface skimmer on it, but I always keep the surface skimmer closed on this because it sits so close to the surface that it starts sucking air, and I wind up getting gurgles and bubbles moving through my filter. And if you get too much air in one of those filter pumps, you'll get basically a vapor lock, and you'll stop pumping the liquid around the tank, and you'll just get an air bubble stuck in your system. So I keep the surface skimmer closed on this tank, but we're going to have to get in there and do it manually today because we have got, for some reason, a lot of this biofilm or surface scum, whatever you want to call it, is growing in this tank, and I'm not really sure where this came from or why it's growing so vigorously all of a sudden, but it definitely needs to be removed from the tank. So rather than get in there with a little pitcher or a cup or something and do scoop after scoop while I skim the surface, I'm going to use my big siphon hose that's typically thought of as a gravel vac, and I'm going to show you how I use what would otherwise be considered a gravel vac, and I use it as a surface skimmer, and that way we can sort of continually skim the surface while we're doing a water change, and I don't have to keep making trips back and forth while I do bucket after bucket. So hang on a minute, let me get started, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, you can see by how green that is that that's algae floating on the water there. Gonna have to wash my siphon hose after I'm done with this, but you can see that's a pretty simple technique for using it to skim the surface. You can either do it a nice slow steady pace so it sort of keeps up with it at the same time, or you can kind of take big gulps out of it. In a minute I'm going to have to get this water sprayed out of the way. And you can already see the difference we've made in the surface. So we'll let that keep draining, but look at the difference already just from doing that little bit of surface skimming. Now there's still plenty in there. I'm going to get in there and do a little bit more once I've got two hands and I can do it a little more easily, but I wanted to at least show you the beginning of the process. So I'm going to get started on it, and I will see you for the final product. And there's your before. And there's your after. So as I said, not a lot to talk about. You saw how we did the surface skimming. We got a lot of that algae off of the surface of the water. I did get in there and use a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. A lot of times if you have biofilm growing on the surface of your water, you spritz a little bit of hydrogen peroxide on that and it will kill and break up some of that biofilm. In my case, as we saw, it was that green algae growing, and I was hoping the hydrogen peroxide would kill a little bit of that. When I got the water level down a little bit, I could actually see up in the corners and on some of the plumbing, some of that green algae had collected on that. So I assume that there's probably still plenty in the tank. I got to kind of try to figure out why I'm getting that algae growing on the surface like that. That's kind of new in this tank, so who knows what's actually going on there. Otherwise, I did wipe the glass down on the inside. Didn't really bother with the outside because there's not really much going on the outside of it. I ran my fingers through the Java Windalove there, and I pulled a few babies out. So I do have some more Java Windalove available for sale. You can check my email down below. I just about always have Java Fern and Water Sprite for sale. And then anything else that pops up along the way, I'll have that available too. Occasionally a Nubius and so on and so forth. And that's about it. I did install a new heater, I almost forgot to mention. That was kind of an afterthought. It was something that I had sitting there I needed to get installed. You can't really see it because it's hidden back there in the corner, and that's by design. But if you look at the reflection, you can actually see the number being indicated there, and that is 75 degrees. I actually have this tank set a little bit cooler than my other tanks. That is the same type of heater, the Free C heater that I have in this tank and a few others. I have this one set to 76, but it keeps showing it at 77 degrees. I'm not really sure why that is either. Again, there's a little bit of room for error, give or take a degree or two. And I will also say that my original Free C heater that I have in my 55-gallon tank and one that I have upstairs, both of these actually give you a Celsius reading, and there's no way to adjust that. And my new heaters both give me Fahrenheit readings, and again, there's no way to adjust that. So I've got to sort of just know what I'm looking at. And at this point, I've seen those numbers so many times that I can just see either or, and I know where I'm sitting temperature-wise. It's not a big deal for me. So there you go. That's just a little look at what the Gourami tank looks like after my water change. Oh, I also got in, this is all the following day. That's why I'm having a little trouble remembering all the details of exactly what I did while I was in there. The tank was still a little cloudy and mussed up last night before going to bed, so I decided to wait till the day to do the after part of the video. But you can see how disrupted and small that piece of Java looks right there, and that's because I pulled that huge mass out and separated it, tucked a little bit of it back in, and likewise I have the rest of it available for sale, and I've got that in one of my grow out buckets in the other room. So again, check my email down below if you're interested in any Java Fern, Java Windalove, or Water Sprite. There you go, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that one. Make sure you're subscribed. You never know what you're going to get from me. Don't forget this one here, of course, is my 55-gallon Gourami tank. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.